What's up, everybody? Biggest Bird here, and welcome to my nest, where I'll show you things you need to know about Dead as Disco, and then I'll let you know what I think about it at the end with my egg test. Now, I've played over 100 hours in the demo for Dead as Disco alone, and I've definitely played a decent amount of time in the early access release as well. And thanks to the Dead as Disco team, I received a review copy. As with any early access release, it's not 100% complete, and there are plenty of things that are subject to change. First, we'll get into some important settings. You'll want to head to the gameplay section of the settings menu, and let's take a look at some of the settings here. The first one that I think you should know about is the beat indicator. The beat indicator is pretty much what it says it is. It comes in two different variations, but let me show you what they look like so you can pick one. Now, you can see that I have it on 2, and that's because I think 2 is the most appealing. And then there's the show fever meter over Charlie. The fever meter is important when it comes to timing your skills and abilities. And with the fever meter normally being in the upper left corner, you may not be focusing on it as much. And then there's a BB mode. What the hell is BB mode? And why is there a percentage? Oh, I can't see any harm in cranking it up to 100, I guess. Everything looks, oh my goodness. Alright, we're not going to change that setting. We're leaving that on for the rest of this video. So you better like big butts, because I cannot lie. Next thing, you've got your idols here. You've got Dex, Prophet, Hemlock, Aurora, and then you've got your infinite disco mode. Now, I think it's important that you experience these idol fights on your own. One thing I'll mention is they are kind of short. So I'll give you some time, and then I'll meet you back here. Alright, welcome back. Let's get into the infinite disco mode. And the reason it's important that you beat the idols first is because you unlock special stages for defeating the idols as well as their abilities. To start, you've got some built-in challenges here if you want to try those out, or you can create your own custom challenge. What is a challenge? Well, I'm about to show you. So a challenge is a set of requirements that pretty much ends the song, and it gives you fan points. Fan points are what you spend on your abilities, cosmetics, and whatnot. You got a couple different objectives when it comes to making a challenge. You can set multiple. Most basic one is survive until the song ends. There's a couple different ones here. Messing around with them. They're pretty self-explanatory. And now let's go over mods. Modifications. These are just modifiers that either make enemies tougher or make it easier for you. If you're just getting into this game, you should put on a couple that make it a little easier for you. The next part of making a challenge is the enemy waves. Now you can customize what enemies show up after you beat them all up. We're going to add a wave here. We're on our wave 1, of course, and one thing that I like to check is maintain spawn count, which means if you were to start wave 1 with, let's say, 1 enemy, after you defeat that 1 enemy, if you haven't made any more waves, it will just repeat that wave until your challenge is completed. Another thing that's kind of confusing, I'll explain this the best I can, spawn pattern type. They've got none or arc. Arc is literally the enemies spawn in like an arc shape. Radius, it's kind of hard to tell with these numbers. There's no visual indicator for what you're doing. You just have to play around with these numbers and see what looks best to you. I don't really mess around with it. I just keep it the same, or I check spawn relative to player, which means all the enemies just kind of gang up on you. They just spawn instantly right next to you. There are a couple different enemy types. You want to mess around, find which one is cool, which one is lame. For the purposes of this guide, we are just going to use stands, which are the most basic enemy. They don't do anything too complex. They just throw a couple punches or kicks at you. They're pretty easy to deal with. With any challenge, you have to apply it to a song. How do you get a song? Most of you probably know. If you want some royalty-free songs, there are a couple of options. We got Pixabay. They have royalty-free music downloads. We've also got YouTube audio library. They'll include a link to download the music, and then you have to give the artist credit if you use it. Next one is SoundCloud. They have their own little royalty-free music section. Obviously, with any of these, they may have conditions where you have to credit the artist or you may still get like a copyright claim. So always look into the description. Once you've got your song imported, you've got your little simple editor here. Obviously it starts with the song name. You can change that if you need to. You can add the artist because most of the time when you download a song, it doesn't add the artist. And then the tempo, which is the most important part. The offset is also the second most important number. I'm going to try and show you how to manually find the beat here with this song Bounce It by Next Route. Now, when you click on the advanced editor here, you'll notice you got a little bit more of a complicated screen. You can adjust the tempo with the shift and the scroll wheel. I've kind of messed up my tempos accidentally by doing this. Keep that in mind. There's a lot of scroll wheeling in here. And then you've got your adjust start time and adjust end time. The start time is this white box in the upper left corner, and you just click and drag it to where you want to start your song. Same thing with the end time. One of the coolest things they've got here is BPM sections, and then the beat sound is pretty much just a metronome. As you can notice, I'm having a little trouble syncing up the beat here. I feel like I'm getting close, but I'm not getting any exact number where it sounds almost perfect. We are going to use a program here called Vortex. I'll include a link in the description to download this program, but it has saved me so much time and hassle. Once you open the program, you'll want to go to File and then find the audio track you're playing in Dead as Disco, import it, just drag and drop it on there, and then you'll want to go up to tempo. After that, you'll want to go to adjust sync, click find BPM. Sometimes you'll get multiple different BPMs. It's usually the safest to go with the top result, which is usually the most consistent BPM. Sometimes different songs will have different BPMs they'll end up showing here. And sometimes Vortex is not 100% accurate. The other method you can do for finding a BPM is looking it up on Google. Some people that play Dead as Disco upload TikToks and YouTube shorts and whatnot, so they will include their beats per minute and their offsets on there for you to use, but I prefer using the Vortex method. And so sometimes when you initially put in the BPM, it can sound a little weird, and that's because you still have to adjust the offset, and you can really get fine-tuned with this offset. You can zoom in nice and close to try and get it as perfect as you can. And now, as you can see, we've near perfectly synced it up. So let's give it a shot and see how it sounds in game. Incredible. I think we've gotten it pretty on the nose with this one. Now, as with any song, you're going to have some moves here to use. Some of these you've gone over in the tutorial. There are some hidden moves that I don't think you know about. The flashback. Now, it doesn't describe this in the move list, but you have to unlock it by defeating Dex and then unlocking this ability in his skill tree. And what it is it's a dodge and then an attack. So we'll show a quick example here. Pretty basic. There is a ranged attack. You have to unlock that in Charlie's tree. Aerial takedown. This is one I see people having somewhat of an issue with. Notice how it says on an airborne enemy. Let's show you how to get an enemy airborne. You unlock the heavy kick in Charlie's skill tree. There are also a couple other methods, but we'll focus on this one. You hold your attack button and then blast an enemy into the wall. And for a brief period of time, they'll be in the air. That's when you press F on the keyboard and make your move, as long as you have a takedown token. The next move that I don't think you know about is the windmill, which is also unlocked in Charlie's skill tree. It took me forever to get this one down. What you do is you click and hold, and then you press WASD, of course, in a windmill motion, and then you let go. I feel ashamed to admit this one. I had no idea that there was a sprint button. All you do is hold the dodge button. Hey, we've all got things to learn. Now, while you're sprinting, you can also do this cool little slide kick here that sends enemies airborne for aerial takedowns as well. Now, I've mentioned a decent amount about skill trees, so we'll get into those. Here's Charlie's skill tree. You got your heavy kick, your windmill, and ranged attack that I've mentioned. You've got Reckless Rage, Hemlock skill tree. You've got Shooting Star, Aurora's skill tree. And then you've got Perfect Storm, which is Dex's skill tree. And you've got my personal favorite, Prophet, his Kill a Flow skill tree. Having this really helps with projectiles and countering. Finally, let's get into how to add mods. First, you'll want to grab a mod from one of your favorite modding platforms. I personally suggest Nexus mods. I've never had any issues with Nexus mods, except for when they're not updated. If a mod isn't properly updated, it will instantly crash your game, if not crash it at some point. You want to make sure that the mod has been updated somewhat recently. After you pick a mod, a character, or a stage, you'll want to manually download it. I mean, you can use the mod manager if you want, but to me, manually downloading it is easier. Once you've extracted it out of the zip file, you want to go to your Steam library page for Dead as Disco, and then you'll want to go to the little gear icon and click on Browse Local Files. Now, once you're in the Files menu here, you'll want to click the folder that says Pagoda, then you'll want to click Content, and then you'll want to click Packs. If you haven't made a mods folder, you'll have to make one. So to do this, you'll need to type a little tilde or squiggly line, and then the word mods. No spaces, just type that. And then once you enter it, you just copy and paste or drag and drop your mod files right into here. Now, I've only had experience with, skins and stages, but that's how you add mods. One last thing I need you to know about Dead as Disco is what I think about it. Let's get into the egg test. Is this a rotten egg? Is it a golden egg? Is it a good egg? Or is it a cracked egg? Let's take a look at it. Some early access games can be a rotten egg, but I think Dead as Disco is better than that. It's no golden egg either. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is a cracked egg to me. Now, cracked doesn't necessarily mean bad. Depends on how deep the cracks go, and I don't think the cracks go deep enough to ruin this. Let's address what makes it a cracked egg to me. One of the biggest annoyances to me is the whole skill tree and fan point system. Personally, I think we should have two separate systems here. We should have the fans for things like cosmetics, and then maybe we should have something like skill points, where when you defeat the idols, you can gain skill points and then spend it, of course, on the skill tree. I personally don't like the name fans. Spending fans just seems weird to me, almost similar to Souls, like Dark Souls. I think it'd be more appealing to call it something like beat points or disco points, because you get these points for the beat. Now, another thing I mentioned earlier was that the idol fights are pretty short, and that you should experience them on your own. The idols can be pretty challenging to defeat, even on normal mode, which is fine with me, but once you get it down, I ended up beating all the idols in probably a little over an hour, and then after that, it's just repeating the idol battles or Infinite Disco. Infinite Disco is by far their most appealing mode, and this is where I think Dead as Disco does something incredible. A rhythm punching game, and the punches are so satisfying when you land them on beat. That's why I've played this game for over 100 hours. It's just so addicting to me. Adding any custom song you want makes this have unlimited replayability. Another issue I have, which I'm pretty sure is just a me thing, when I was going through those menus, you saw how many little indicators and on-screen effect things you can have going on at one time. It can get pretty overwhelming. While I'm glad you can customize it, the fact that you have so many of these indicators tells me that maybe the game doesn't do a good job at communicating communicating to you all this stuff to begin with. I will make an exception for like the beat meter stuff because obviously that's an important part of a rhythm game. I prefer having the attack indicators and most of the indicators turned off. I think it looks more visually appealing and it's less for me to focus on. Maybe some people out there like having a whole bunch going on their screen at once. I personally don't. But again, you can change that in the settings, so it's not like you're forced to deal with that. Another personal thing, if you look in the upper right corner, there's your whole combo score and whatnot. I don't ever really look at that. Let me show you what my vision looks like when I'm playing this game. That's it. That's all I'm focusing on. And one of the main reasons for that is once you have mods enabled, not modifiers in the infinite disco mode, but like skins and whatnot, it disables scoring. So these numbers don't really matter when you have mods, which I get, but after getting in the habit of using mods, I still don't look at it even when I'm not using mods. I know there's a niche group of people that do, and they're competing with each other, and it seems like it's kind of fun for them. One of the biggest things that I'm going to give them credit for is they have released their roadmap really quickly, and it's got some detailed information on the content you can expect. When I saw this, I'm like, this definitely has golden egg potential. They've got co-op multiplayer, more tracks, new boss idols, which will also fix the issue I had earlier with them being short, new skills and abilities, new enemies, new arenas, more narrative arcs, full voiceover, which that's another thing to mention. It's not fully voiced over yet. More memorabilia, more Rockstar fashion, some more dive bar, the encore renovations, achievements, which, man, I love me some achievements, replay and photo support, more mod support. I can't wait to see what other mod support they have in here. Their modding community is excellent. Accessibility and calibration settings, I think those are definitely necessary to work on and improve. And new localized languages. There are so many people getting into this game around the world, and I get so many comments in different languages on my TikToks and whatnot. It's amazing to see. I think this game has a pretty solid foundation. It's got something pretty unique that I haven't seen before. Its rhythm punching style, it does it pretty well. And with everything else around it, I don't think that takes away from this. Now, as the game improves, I can see those cracks not really meaning anything. Anyways, thanks for listening to my little guide review thoughts here. I appreciate it. If you've made it all the way through, I will be making some shorts and some TikToks. Be on the lookout for those. Otherwise, if there was something I missed or something else you need, just message me on TikTok or leave a comment below. Thanks for watching and being a part of my nest. Now I can let you fly on your own and dead as disco.